It was cold, it was snowy. Welcome to winter. Let's do the safety update. Hello and welcome to Safety Update with Sam Watts. You know me. And you know, if you watched the last one, that we've got a new studio. So hopefully no more electrical sockets right behind my head. We've got a cool new background here. And thank you for taking the time to check this out. I really do appreciate it. And I want to start off with, as a lot of you guys and ladies know, that it was cold, or it still is cold. You know, it is January, but like I tell my kids, this is unusually cold. I mean, when you get to like the 35 below wind chills, that's cold. I don't even care if you're from Alaska. Okay, that's pretty cold. But we had that snap there. We had a number of trucks that gave us some headaches, but we got them all fired back up. And we had quite the snowstorm. And it literally was kind of like the perfect storm. Not like the movie. We weren't, in a boat or whatever, but it really was a perfect storm, at least here in Illinois and other parts of the Midwest, because you had snow, and you had a ton of snow. And let me just say this too. I think parts of the Midwest got over a foot. I mean, it was a ton of snow. And we did not have any Meiborg trucks, or Silver Arrow trucks for that matter, go into the ditch. We had zero accidents when it came to the snow. And that is a huge thank you to you guys out there on the road. You did a fantastic job slowing down when you needed to, just flat out stopping when you needed to. You really did a very good job of reading the conditions and knowing what to do and when to do them. And I know even some of you down there in Texas are going through some of that ice right now, or some snow even down there. It's crazy, because Texas has no clue what to do when it comes to snow. And I'm sure Oklahoma and Arkansas are probably the same way. So at least up here we know to salt the roads, but down there they don't. So just a huge thank you as the safety guy to you guys, to say thank you for staying out of the ditches. Thank you for not putting yourself or the equipment in bad situations. I was shocked when Monday morning rolled around and I didn't get a call all weekend about anybody crashing or even being involved in a wreck. Huge thank you to everyone out there. You guys did a fantastic job. Now, look, I was saying though, with the perfect storm, we got the snow, and then we got the wind, and then it hit below freezing. And even today, as I'm making this video here, there are still a number of roads that are completely iced over, because once it gets to be so cold, the salt and the gravel and all that just doesn't work. Everything's packed down. It's just solid ice now. And so even a lot of the main roads are still covered in ice. And with that, you might have to slow down your truck. And I know a lot of you guys know what the adverse driving or adverse weather driving exemption is. And a lot of you have used it, and a lot of you have asked me how to use it. And so I thought I would take just a couple seconds, or a couple minutes, maybe it's probably minutes, and show you just exactly how to use that in the Motive app, because everyone has this option. You can all use it, and it's really good for conditions when you have to slow down because of weather. Now, you cannot use it when you're sitting in traffic in Chicago or any major metropolitan area, or you can't use it if you're running behind and you need a little bit more time, because this gives you 2 extra hours of drive time. You can only use it when you're in bad weather that causes you to slow down, or if there's some sort of natural disaster going on around you. If you get caught in a mudslide, you can actually use the weather exemption. So if you don't know how to use it, it's a very good tool. And so I just want to take a couple seconds here and show you exactly how to use it in Motive. So for that, we're going to jump over to the computer, and I'll walk you through exactly how to use the adverse driving weather exemption. Okay, so here we are. This is what your Motive looks like when you log in. This should be a pretty familiar screen to a lot of you. In fact, everyone out there. So this is your home screen. I don't know who Wakas is, but let's just say that's your name up there. So in order to get to the weather exemption, you got to click on the blue button here, the logs button, and that will then take you over to this screen. Again, this should be a pretty common, familiar screen with you guys. And so let's say today's a day, obviously, that you want to use the adverse driving exemption. So you can either click where it says, the Wednesday, June 29th, or you can actually click on the graph below it as well. And that, if you just take your finger and touch it, if you do that, it'll take you to this screen. Again, this is should be a pretty familiar screen, because at the top you got your 4 tabs. You got your log and your form and sign and inspection. You should be doing all that stuff. But in the log form, if you go down here, there's a plus sign right there. And what you do is you tap on that plus sign, and it brings up this little menu. So this will let you add remarks, and you can edit your logs in here. At the very bottom, though, it says take adverse conditions exemption. So what you do is you just tap on that, and then that will bring you back to this screen, and you should see then this little title, I suppose, right here saying adverse conditions exemption applied. And that will give you the extra 2 hours in your log. Now, the thing with adverse driving conditions is that once you run out of them, you have to take yourself off. You have to turn it off. You can't just be like, oh, it was raining 45 minutes ago. It's good now, but I'm still going to run the extra 2 hours. No, that's not how it works. It's when you're run out of the bad weather. If you're back up to speed, so to speak, you got to take yourself out of the adverse conditions exemption. So in order to do that, what you do then is you literally tap on the exemption title there, and it'll pop over, and you'll see this reject button. And what you do is you just simply hit that reject button, and that's it. It'll turn it off, and you'll be back into your normal log. So if you use this tool right, it's very handy. If you use it wrong, it can throw you into a violation. So if you do have questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. I can help you out with it. But get to know this tool. There's a couple of those things in the ELDs. The yard moves, personal conveyance, this exemption. These are really good tools for you guys to utilize out there, and can really help you get down the road and do it safely, because that's exactly what they're there for. They want to make sure that you can continue to drive safe. So that's in there. Use it. If you have questions about it, let me know. Cool? All right. Now, let's watch the dash cam for this week. Okay, so here is this week's dash cam. I thought we would think of some warmer times, because it's been snowy and cold and dreary a little bit out there, so we're gonna kick it back to summer. And this is a video that you can, I want to say, quote, get away with doing in the summer, but you really can't in the winter, and honestly you can't in the summer either. But the summer is a little more forgiving when it comes to braking. But let's take a look at the dash cam here, and you'll kind of maybe see what I mean. So out on some country road here, and coming up to a stoplight, and it's red, and okay, and now we're finally stopped, kind of in the intersection there, not giving the other cars a ton of room to maneuver around. So you know what I mean. You can see what I'm talking about here now when I say this is a move that you can't get away with in the winter, because usually these roads they might be a little slippery. If you apply the brakes as hard as the brakes were applied in this scenario, you could seriously go skidding through. So a couple things to be aware of when it comes to something like this. A lot of you have reached out to me, and old drivers, new drivers, all that stuff, and we got dash cams obviously in our trucks now. And the number one follow-up question to that is always, do the dash cams point out or do they point in? And I always say they always point out. I'll fight the inward facing ones tooth and nail. I can't guarantee that they won't be mandatory someday down the line. But right now they're not, and I like it that way. And usually I always follow up with telling the drivers that I don't really necessarily need to see in for a lot of stuff, because I can always kind of tell when a driver is distracted. And in this case, I am fairly confident that this driver was distracted. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they're on the phone, if they were on their CB, if they were changing radio stations. I don't know what they were doing. But for the driver to brake as late as he did here, he was obviously distracted, or didn't realize how long it would take for him to brake. He just wasn't really following protocols very well. And again, if this happened in winter time, with it being a 2-lane road like this, and if they had the same snow and ice and everything that we just had, he would have gone completely sliding through this intersection, probably hit that first car that went through, and we would have a serious mess on our hands. So I just want to remind you guys that when you're driving down these 2-lane roads like this, make sure that you are aware of what you're coming up to. Make sure that you're not messing around with any sort of device, because as you can see here, the light is clearly red. I mean, it's not like this is one of the cases that just turned red and all of a sudden go, oh, son of a gun, and you slam on your brakes. No, this was red for a while. And one of the other dangers too, other than the fact of, almost hitting a car and then kind of being stuck in this intersection a little bit. One of the other dangers with this is in a video we saw not that long ago when we hit the brakes for a deer, and we saw the freight in the trailer slam up against the front of the trailer, causing damage to the trailer that we had to fix. So just make sure, I know some of you guys, you have your own styles, so to speak, of driving, and some of you guys, I've seen it, your braking is a little late and a little harsh, but just keep in mind, shippers, they're not the best at securing that freight in the back there. I know they said it's perfect, it's clear, good to go, but sometimes, man, when you slam on those brakes, that freight shifts, and all of a sudden, A, we could have a damaged trailer, or B, you could roll over a scale later on down your trip, and all of a sudden now your drive axles are 10,000 pounds over because all of your freight went to the nose of the trailer. So just keep that in mind. Again, don't be distracted. There's nothing that can distract you on the road that's worth taking your eyes and your attention away from what you're doing. So please don't be distracted out there on the road. And when you're coming up to a stoplight that's clearly red, make sure that you give yourself that amount of time to stop so that you don't have to slam on your brakes and jeopardize not only the equipment but the freight in the back, because that is a very real possibility for both of those, and I'd hate to see that. So anyways, make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of stopping distance. And make sure you're not having to slam on the brakes. That's just, I know that sounds common sense, but you'd be amazed at how many videos I get like this one where it's kind of that last second slam at the last second. I mean, I've got other ones where they're, going into the intersection. Again, I don't want the driver facing cameras. I can tell when a driver is distracted. In a case like this, I am 98% sure that they were distracted and they had to slam on the brakes at the last minute. So get rid of the distractions that are in your truck, and just make sure that you don't have to do this so we don't have any sort of freight claims or any sort of damaged equipment as well. So anyways, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, my contact information is at the bottom. Feel free to reach out to me. And until we do this again next time, make sure that you drive safe.